Hey, welcome back to the Hotel Orloff, where it's minus 9 degrees and it's going down to minus 18 tonight. And it's getting to be nighttime. So, this is the current state of things. It's Saturday night, man. I'm waiting for Donald Trump to come on the television. But I'm not gonna lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a little bit cold here in the Hotel Orloff. Drew the dog. Is it cold? Yeah, it's a little cold. Let's get you tucked in a little bit better. There you go. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a little bit cold in here, and so we've got Right Side Broadcasting on, and Trump was supposed to be in Iowa, but he canceled because of the snow. So he's going to, I guess, come on and give an important speech tonight through the wonders of television. So, to distract myself from the cold, I think I will, because even inside it's a little bit cold, so therefore I'm wearing this coat indoors. So, spoke to Meyer Greenblatt a little bit this afternoon. That was fun to talk to a friend of mine out in California. And what else has been going on? Not too much. How are you guys doing? Okay, so let's look at some bucks. What do we have in this box? Oh, let's get some light going. And that may warm things up a little bit too. So, well, let's take a look at comics. This is interesting. This is right after the comics code came in. And the comics, before the code came in, they would have crime in giant letters, but the comics code kind of frowned upon that. So you can tell that it's right after the comics code came in because the code is so large. This is number 8 from June of 1955. And notice that this company makes their I brought the magnifying glass down. Where did I put it? I'm sure I brought it down. Oh, well, now I don't know where it is. Anyway, they try to make that look as much like the EC logo as they possibly can. Now, this is pre-code. Again, from the Eisenhower Age of Comics. Some people call it the Golden Age of Comics. Some people call it the Atomic Age. Man, this just is... Why is this light not effective enough? It's Prize Comics Western. Now, if you look at the cover, this is an amazing combination of talents. It's Will Elder and John Severin working together to create this. So what you've got are two great talents best known in that time period as working for EC Comics. So this has been reprinted. All these stories of American Eagle have recently been reprinted in hardcover form. I have 3 issues of the comic. I guess I should seek out that hardcover. Let's get a little bit more light in here.
Post J6 was something else in this country. I mean, forget about the people that are in jail. I mean, forget about them. I'm talking about just media.
So I'll do this show until Donald Trump starts talking.
You know, we've got these, and you know this. We've got people that are going after Trump, going after people who.
We here at the brought to Orloff Inspirational Network support Donald Trump. Here is another issue, number 84 of Prize Comics. Prize Comics Western. This light is just not working for me, man.
But after January 6th, it changed all of our lives because all of a sudden we were labeled insurrectionists. We were racist. We were anti-democracies at threat, anti-American, treasoners. That's what we were labeled on January 6th. And I said this.
Oh well. What can we do, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, this is Prize Comics Western number 84. Again, from the Eisenhower Age of Comics. And this is 86. So you've just seen 85, 84, and 86. You've seen 84, 85, and 86. This is 86. So you've got 3 issues together. I bought these from Gotham City Comics in Mesa, Arizona. And these are obviously from the same original collection. Someone in the early 50s bought these 3 issues 3 months in a row. And they survived through the decades, and now they're in my hands. Here's Punch Comics. Now, if this was real, this one is not real. This is a facsimile. If it was real, and that would be way out of my price range. But being a fake one, it's, you know, probably, I forget, about $14, $15. Still kind of expensive, but not going to cost you thousands of dollars. This is this came out just a couple of months ago, so you might still be able to get it. It says facsimile edition on the back. It is, I believe, from PS Art Books. In fact, I'm positive of that. It's Roy Thomas's company. Purple Claw, number 2. Purple Claw, number 2. Here's Race for the Moon, number 1. Racket Squad in action. Now, this comic's interesting. If you're interested in the spook shows, and I've got spook show posters all around here. See them there in the background. Spook shows. Oh, the magnifying glass is like right here in front of me. My magnifying glass. Spook shows See this guy here? Looks a little like George Burns. Dr. Neff smashes the spook racket. Now, this is a classic example of good girl art. And they called these headlight covers, where there was a reason they called them headlight covers. I'll leave that to your imagination. Anyway, this is the only comic book that I know of that gets into the spook shows. That basically what they were is a movie theater would start putting up posters everywhere all around town that a spook show is coming up Friday. Sometimes it was on Friday the 13th. Usually it was at midnight. But they would run one, maybe a double feature of 2 horror movies, and then there'd be a magician that would do magic tricks. There'd be people dressed up as monsters running around the stage, and then out into the audience, someone dressed as Frankenstein, or maybe a Batgirl or something. And this comic here, Racket Squad in Action, is now Dr. Neff was one of the magicians that did the spook show circuit, and apparently he's exposing the haven't read this one in a good number of years. He's exposing some fake spiritualists. Anyway, this is an incredible comic book from February 1953. When did Eisenhower become... Eisenhower... Okay, hold on. Let me think back. 60 to 56 would have been Eisenhower's second. 56, 54. Okay, so there would have been an election in 52. Truman, was president. So 52. Then there'd be another. Eisenhower won, and then it'd be another election in 56. Eisenhower won. And then Kennedy was elected in November of 60. So, sworn in obviously January of 61. So, all the cool comic book collectors are switching over to the new, instead of saying Golden Age, Silver Age, all that. So this comic would be from the Eisenhower Age of Comics, or the Ike Age of Comics, if you prefer. I lie, it's not really all the cool comic collectors, it's only me. But maybe soon, it will be you, ladies and gentlemen. Will you eschew the commonplace, the mundane way of calling it the Golden Age, the Platinum Age, the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, the Garbage Age, whatever? Will you stop that nonsense, that madness, and join with Gratu Orloff and call it what it really is? Here's a rawhide. Now, this is the Kennedy Age of Comics, more than likely. Let me see. Let me double check here. February, April 1961. So, this probably came out right about the time that Kennedy was elected. I bet this was on sale in November of 60. Yeah. So you've got Clint Eastwood. Not many comics with Clint Eastwood on the cover. And you see Clint Eastwood here. But in the comic, when you see Clint Eastwood, he's kind of hard to recognize, I'll be honest with you. But I'm not knocking the artwork. It's wonderful. It just,
social issues
oh well.
like this, like
Clint Eastwood comic books.
back on the multiple genders, there's more, there's more male people.
All
Why have we
real Americans comic book collection should have John Wayne comics and Clint Eastwood comics. Here's Real Clue Crime Stories from 1948, which would have been the Truman Age of comics. Real Clue Crime Comics. According to my map, we should be right under the bank vault now. What a cinch this was. We can take plenty of time and clean the place out. Hey, we're busting through. This was happening last week. Remember they caught those guys in New York tunneling? Unfortunately, it's not the bank. They're tunneling right through into the police headquarters. Oh my goodness. From the Truman Age of comics. Let's take a look at this comic. So, when this comic came out, I guess that was about the time my father was graduating high school. Look, you could get a two-way wrist radio. Dick Tracy, two-way wrist radio. How about that? What a shame 2024 is, where I don't think anybody really knows who Dick Tracy was. Everything's been forgotten or ruined. Star Wars, completely ruined. The Munsters, ruined by Rob Zombie. Comic books, ruined by the last 20, possibly 30 years of bad writing, bad art, and now wokeness. Movies, no longer worth your time. Television, same thing. Music, unrecognizable. All genres of music, shot. What's good about today? I mean, there's a few things.
I'm 54 and I'm so ready for a senior discount of some sort, and that's why our friends over at
Anyway, this is the kind of so what we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, at least what I've done for most of my life, is I've tried to create my own reality, not through drugs, but through surrounding myself with the best of the past, a pinball arcade, comic collection, the music of the past. There's some good music today, just not a lot. Everything to insulate myself from the world out there. Man, all the greats. John Wayne is gone. Boris Karloff is gone. Elvis is gone. You know what? This is unbelievable. The Rolling Stones released... Did you know the Rolling Stones released an album around Thanksgiving and nobody noticed and nobody cared? And the Rolling Stones were once so huge. If an album was coming out, that was a big deal. I knew the Rolling Stones, they're in their 80s and they were working on an album, and then it came out and I had no way of knowing. It's like no one on YouTube's talking about it, and it must be terrible. I assume that it's terrible, That's Real Clue. Here's another issue of Real Clue. Crime Stories. Let's see. Fingers, old pal. They got the heat on me. I gotta hide out for a few weeks. I knew I could come here to you. Thanks to Gloria. It was her idea. I know there's no hard feelings, and you're the one guy in the world I can trust. And then he's saying, I assume he's thinking a curse word, 2 X's. I'm sure he's saying a bad 4-letter word in his mind. Sure, boss, come in. All right, so this will be, this has got to be an interesting story. From, we're completely stranded here because it's so, if I walk outside that front door and take 2 breaths of minus 10 air, it's going to be minus 18 tonight, and it starts to be painful. But I'm going to have to get down. Oh, my wife's calling. Yeah, it's going to be painful, but I got to get out to the supermarket tomorrow, which isn't a long drive, but I've got to get some supplies. Here's Ready Goose. I better go upstairs and see what's going on with my wife. This was a giveaway at a shoe store. Oh, there's 2 Ready Goose comics here. I'm sorry, this is Ready Goose. Oh, Red Goose Shoe Stores. The spokesperson for Red Goose Shoe Stores is Ready Goose. And the 10-cent price tag is just there to fool people because it was never meant to be sold. It says, with the compliments of your Red Goose dealer. So it's one of those things where it was a giveaway so that kids wouldn't complain at the shoe store because it was not fun to go to a shoe store. I don't know. Some kids enjoyed shopping for clothes. I don't know. I never did. It's 3 issues of Ready Goose. Oh, the artwork in this one is actually quite good. I got to go upstairs, man. I got to go. It's all right. Yes, someone was asking, Friar Tuck, I think, was asking in the comments. I was complaining about not having access to my magnifying glass, and he says, "Well, you can use your phone as a magnifying glass." And he says, "Well, are you filming with your phone?" And yes, I am. This is filmed with an iPhone, so therefore I cannot do that. Here's a Roy Rogers comic. So, what are you doing there, Drew? That is not probably good. Oh, shoot, she's shitting on the floor. Nice. Okay, nice. She has a turd stuck coming out of her butt, so I'm going to have to help her out. She's been having trouble with her stomach, and the turd is hanging out of her butt, and she's rubbing herself on the carpet, trying to get it out. And that usually happens when she's eating hair off, dogs, when they get sick, they eat grass, but she hasn't been outside because the grass is covered with snow. So she's been licking the carpet, and my wife has long hair, and she's been licking up hair. So now, oh my God. Drew, I will help you. We got to get the turd. Drew, it's all right. Drew, come on, get up. Yeah, there's a hair hanging. There's a turd hanging by a hair here. Come on, Drew. I'll get it. No, Drew. I got it. All right, we got the turd. Fantastic. All right, Drew, all is well. You don't see this on Comic Book Tom. You can look at other people's $1 million comic book collection, but only here in the Hotel Orloff can you see turds hanging out of dogs' anuses. All right. So we wash our hands, ladies and gentlemen. This is how we wash our hands after helping a dog get a turd out of there. What a life, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Whoa, shit. Now another leg of the tripod is coming off. Okay. Okay, Drew, stay back. Stay back. You can't go up here. Can't go up here, Drew. Stay back. Stay back, Drew. Stay back, stay back, stay back. Stay back, stay back. No, Drew. It's hanging. Oh, she's peeing already. Yeah, it was hanging by some of yours too. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll see you soon. Trump's about to talk. I can't. I'm doing a show. Is there a timer up here? Oh, it's on me. Oh, yeah. Come on, Drew. Come on, Drew. Well, amazing. So, she said that's going to be so sick when people watch that on the show. No, it's natural to get. It's just okay. Let's see if Donald Trump is talking yet. Okay. All right. Let's see what it looks like outside now at almost 6:10 p.m. on Saturday. What is it? It must. What is today? The 13th? I don't know. Tomorrow must be the 14th because the 15th is the caucus. Yeah, there's the stairs. Wow. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? The sun was out all day, but it just kept getting colder and colder. Yeah, that happened earlier this morning. She had a turd hanging out of her butt, and I had to help her get it out. Indeed. Well, we were looking at Reddy Goose, Roy Rogers. Here is the Wonders of Science in Pictures. Science comics. This is what Dr. Fauci read when he was a little boy that helped him learn to become one of the greatest scientists of all time. Oddities about the great apes. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Here's the movie. This could do for a flattening. It's a little bit warped. Probably on a bathroom floor back several generations ago. Who knows what happened to this comic? but it could use a flattening. Someone, I don't know how to press comics, but anyway, it's the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Movie that changed my life in second grade when I saw it on television in Hampton, Virginia. I could not believe what I was seeing on that Cyclops licking his lips and roasting one of Sinbad's sailors on a spit. That was just, I just could not believe my eyes. And that set me on a lifelong love of Ray Harryhausen and stop motion animation. Boy, that panel must have been hard to draw. Yeah, buddy. Let's see if I can't find that scene I'm describing and illustrated in this fine publication. Oh man, they draw the Cyclops looking more like a human and less like a, yeah, he looks more like just a bald guy with a horn. Where does he start cooking that guy? That was so incredible. Yeah. Do they show that scene? Oh, that must be it there. Where? Trust me, it was a lot better in the movie. Great comic book, though. Phil Silvers, starring as Sergeant Bilko. CBS television. 10-cent DC comic. Yes, indeed. Sergeant Bilko. Which doesn't really get much. You don't see it on television very much. I never saw it on television growing up. Maybe it was on TV Land at some point, but as far as syndicated, what, do I have 2 copies of the same issue? Why, yes, I apparently do. I have 2 copies of the same issue. Here's another copy of the same one. Would have been a lot better if I had 2 issues of separate issues, 2 copies of separate issues. But this is one of the greatest. I think I got a discount on this, but this is probably, yeah, it's probably the most expensive. Maybe between this and one other comic, most expensive comic I ever bought. Roly. I can't get enough of this cover. I should make this into a poster and frame it. Roly Poly Comics. The title makes absolutely no sense. Probably it started as a funny animal comic. It makes no sense with this superhero cover. The cover is lifted from Blue Beetle #1. It was the exact same pose, except here the color of the pants is polka dotted, and I almost could tell you that even though this is basically traced from a Blue Beetle cover, that this cover is better. And that title, that logo, that trade dress is amazing. This is just one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Other than maybe that Marines comic from World War II where the guy is shooting a flamethrower at an octopus with a Japanese soldier's head. That's one of the greatest ones too. But I don't own that comic because I'm not in the big leagues, man. I'm down here, not even in the minor leagues as far as comic collecting. I'm like in the little leagues compared to these people you guys watch. People with the people that you guys love. Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. I wish I had stacks and stacks of this Fiction House stuff, but I don't, because I'm poor. I do. How can you be poor with this giant hotel? Well, this giant hotel costs nothing because, #1, it's beat up. #2, it's not near anything. And what, you have all these pinball machines? No, when my father died, I inherited a little money and immediately invested it in stuff like that so that it could not be.
We are probably 15 minutes away.
I put it into collectibles, and now I'm almost completely broke and don't really hardly know in Joe Biden's world where my meals are coming from a couple days from now. Pretty poor. I watch these people that just like 60,000 for that comic. What a steal! I saw someone this morning. You mean that comic was being sold for only $60,000? What a bargain! Okay. So this is a 3D comic, but it's very common. I bought this at the Forum 303 Mall in Arlington, Texas. They had a comic book store there, and this was their only old comic. I think this comic is very, very common because you see it a lot and it's not very expensive. But how? It's so beautiful. All these Sheena comics, everything Fiction House did was great. Here's Smilin' Jack. A great cover. That is a tremendous cover. Look at this girl, man. That is just so perfect. Of course, here on the back cover, they actually expose what her face is like. Amazing. Imagine you could go in the local drugstore and pick up a comic book like that. Incredible, huh? Oh, you said so, yeah? Don't say so, yeah. So, yeah is a mind worm that gets in your head, and it's just like, so, yeah. Yeah is okay, but don't say so, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is I said yeah. This is an expensive comic, too. I paid that roly-poly. This comic I'm about to show you is expensive. This cost $100. It's from 1945, but I got a discount on it. I don't remember how much. And then I also got Fantastic Four Annual #1 from Comic Book World, where Eric Breen works. I got that for right around $100 discount also, or it was on sale. Those are about the most expensive comics I've ever bought. And I just thought this was great because this issue of Speed. Because it shows superheroes putting the flag up on Iwo Jima, which is that disrespectful? At least they got one like Marine or one soldier helping, but for the most part, it's these superheroes that are half naked putting the flag up after that bloody combat. Here is Speedy Rabbit #14. Speedy Rabbit. So we're obviously looking at the S's. I pulled out an S box just out of pure boredom because we're bored here as we freeze to death in the Hotel Orloff. I have about 3 copies of this in my Superman boxes. This is one that never sold, so therefore they tore the top off and sent the top, the title back and got their money back. And then this comic survived, probably just handed to the, actually I can see what they did. They sold it for 15 cents with the top stripped off, which you're not supposed to do. Once you mutilate the comic, you're supposed to get rid of it. But some people would still sell them, make a little extra money. Great issue, great giant-sized issue. Fantastic. I cannot tell you how much that this period of Superman is superior to the John Byrne era or the ones coming out today. I had an algebra teacher in high school that would always say, he would always dramatically talk, I cannot emphasize to you how much you need to study for tomorrow's test. Maybe he was a big Star Trek fan, I don't know. He delivered it William Shatner style. And when you deliver something William Shatner style, then the gravity, the importance is conveyed to you that you need to actually study for that test. Here's Tippy Terry, number 14. Speaking of 14, Valentine's, February 14th coming up, and already the Valentine's stuff is in the stores. It's been up for several weeks since Christmas season's over. And that's great. Top Cat was one of the primetime Hanna-Barbera cartoons. The Flintstones was primetime. Johnny Quest and Top Cat were primetime. I was not alive then. Was the Jetsons also primetime? I think it was, but someone a little bit older. I was born in 65. Maybe you could tell me. But anyway, Top Cat was a primetime cartoon. I always loved this cartoon, watching it in reruns as a kid in the early 70s. But it wasn't a big hit in the United States. I think it only lasted one season. Am I right? And therefore, this is March, May 1962. So this is from the Kennedy era, Kennedy age of comics. Where Top Cat was super popular was in Mexico. I don't know about in South America. I just know in Mexico, Top Cat was huge. It was a huge hit. They call him Don Gato in Mexico. And it's so popular that they made their own Top Cat episodes because there weren't enough coming from... Actually, I think they made not maybe one, but two feature-length animated movies that were made by a Mexican animation studio, continuing the adventures of Top Cat. I don't know. I don't know, but I've been told. I don't know, but I think that... I'm not sure if they were dubbed into English and released here, like on VHS, to trick people into thinking it was new Top Cat stuff. But not sure. So maybe if we look on YouTube, maybe we could find the Mexican Top Cat movies. I don't know. Here's Tip Top Comics, number 174. Now, these comics reprinted comics from the newspaper. I'm trying to remember if Tip Top... There's Tip Top and there's Tip Topper. Are they two separate comic series? I think that Tip Top becomes Tip Topper. I could do the research on that, but I can't do the research right now because my phone is being used to film. Let's look at this book. Tip Top once. Well, no, okay, no. Tip Top is different. Tip Top, this is Tip Top 174, and it's from... Come on, man. May, June 1952. And you can see that this is Sunday Nancy comics, and there's Captain and the Kids. It's Sunday comic strips that have been shrunken down to fit the format of a comic. And there's Tarzan. Now, comic books started this way with Famous Funnies, and the very first comic books came out in the mid-1930s. They call that the Platinum Age, but my wife just sent me a link. Creature from the Black Lagoon comic book coming from Robert Kirkman's Seaboard. Okay, so there's a new Creature from the Black Lagoon comic coming. I'll have to talk to Kevin Johnson, the owner and proprietor of the historic Gotham City Comics in Mesa, Arizona, and he'll see if he knows anything about that. Here's Uncle Bernie's Fun Shop. Buy now at our low, low prices. Fishbowl. Get the smoking little cowboy doll, ventriloquist, whatever. Anyway, the very first comics looked very much like this in the mid-30s, what some people call the Platinum Age, but I call the Roosevelt Age of comics. But when comic books started to print original material that wasn't just reprinted, that didn't already appear in newspapers, that's when people consider the Golden Age to have started, like around 1938. Was Superman. Okay, so this is Tip Topper Comics, and it's only issue 23. So it might have been, is it the same company? It's the same company. Maybe they stopped Tip Top Comics and then started this new comic. Let's see what the date is on it. That's just so wonderful. Look at this. That makes me happy. That's why these cretins that slab their comics and they say, well, I can just read the comics anytime I want on my Kindle. All comic books have been put on the internet. No, they haven't all been put on the internet. And some that have been put on the internet don't have the ads. And the thing is, well, I guess if you slabbed your comic, you could still see the back cover. But I understand slabbing a baseball card, but a book where you can't see the inside ever again? Foolishness, unless it's falling apart. Oh, look at this. We got Little Abner reprints. There's old Moonbeam McSwine. Now, Little Abner, that was good girl art. I mean, if the way that Al Cap drew women, or whoever was ghosting his comic strip, Frank Frazetta, I think was the ghost artist for probably 10 years during the 1950s. So, and here's Fritzy Ritz, which would later become Nancy. Kind of like Popeye. The comic strip started as Thimble Theater. It was about the Oil family. And then Popeye comes along, and the Oil family's kind of pushed to the side, except for Olive Oil, who, became his girlfriend. It's like when Fonzie took over Happy Days, it's kind of like that. Anyway, I was going to look at the date on this. What does that say, man? June, July 53. Okay, my suspicion: fireworks and guns and comic books. Making America great again. We're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy here.
In the Republican Party to take care of some type of agency or department? Possibly. But when something is almost too good to be true and it comes out of nowhere, you think, how genuine is that?
Yeah, Vivek did come out of nowhere, and he does seem too good to be true. It's very much reminiscent of Obama. Okay, this is 22. Now, these Tip Topper books. I got these in like 1977, 1978 when Lone Star Comics first opened. Lone Star Comics was about the size of this kitchen back here that I use as a library. It was going to be a kitchen, but they never fully finished it. Because they had a few Golden Age comics, but or Atomic Age comics, or I call them, these are borderline borderline Truman age of comics, borderline Eisenhower age. Anyway, I just thought it was cool. I never thought I'd have a comic that old, and these were probably $2.50. They couldn't have been more than $4 or $5, or I couldn't have afforded them. There's more Little Abner, but I thought, boy, this is great. I'm getting comics from. See, how old would they have been then? 52. Well, they were only probably about 25 years old, but they seemed, impossibly old. There's that gun ad again. Now, this is April, May 53. We're definitely into Eisenhower age of comics. So you can get your guns, you can get your flowers, and your... Oh, I forgot about this comic strip, Ferdinand. That's one that's been incredibly lost to time. Here's Curly KO, which is... Oh, and here are some of the very early Peanuts cartoons that were reprinted here in Tip Topper. What was the very first issue what was the very first appearance in comic books of the Peanuts gang? I'm not going to pretend to tell you. I doubt it was this issue, because I think even back in 1977, 78, when I was shopping at Lone Star Comics, now known as mycomicshop.com, that would have triggered some alert that the comic was worth a little bit more. So that one and this one I also got back then when I was like 12 years old, which was a while ago. Look at me, 12 years old, a long time ago, man. So I've been the custodian of these comics for the last many decades, and they're in nice shape. Look at this ad on the back. Harvey Kurtzman did a great parody of this ad in the Mad comic book. The EC Mad comic book. Ooh. Now they're talking. Look at this. Colt Cobra 38 and a German 9mm Luger. I've always loved the look of a Luger. I always thought that's the ultimate handgun. So there's more Ferdinand. I think there's more Charlie Brown in here. More Curly KO. You can tell these all were from the same original person's collection, because they were all together at Lone Star Comics when I bought them in the late 70s, and they're very close in number, 22, 23, 25. It was the same person that had these ever since the early 50s, and then I bought them. So I would say, they talk about cars. This is a two-person owned comic. There's been two owners of this comic. The original person that bought it in the early 50s, and then I got it. Then they sold it somehow to Lone Star, and now I'm the owner. Until I try to go to the supermarket tomorrow and fall down and freeze to death in the snow, and then someone else will be the owner. Let's see. We're getting close. I think Trump is supposed to talk any minute here. How much time we have left? We're at 54 minutes and 8 seconds is how long you stuck with this show. Tip top. This is a interesting comic about, it's T-Man, worldwide troubleshooter, and you think, well, T-Man, it must stand for Trouble Man. No, he's actually a tax man. He's an IRS agent, basically, this guy. Ooh, is Trump? Oh, Trump's already starting, man. I better end this show quick or turn it up. Here's the return of Mussolini. Sorry, man, I gotta watch Trump here. Okay, this is pre-code. And then look, when the code comes in, you got they made it giant on the first few issues. So this is a 1955 issue. So the comic's going to be slightly less violent, or if it ever was that violent in T-Man. I mean, here is another one. See, one thing this guy's doing is tracking down the return of some of the bad guys from World War II. This is the 10 years later. Return of Hitler, is Hitler still around? Mussolini was definitely not around because he was killed publicly. Hitler was committed suicide, and then the Russians found him and burned him, and there's no trace of him left. So you have to take the Russians' word for the fact that they found his dead body. There are government records that were released while Trump was president that said that the old trope about, I hate using the word trope, the old legend about, Hitler being alive in South America until the 50s or early 60s may have actually been true. Anyway, Our Gang with Tom and Jerry. So this is from MGM. So Our Gang comedies, which on television were called The Little Rascals. But so it has, Spanky and Alfalfa and Buckwheat and the Gang, Froggy, and also the cartoons from MGM, Tom and Jerry. Somebody's done something interesting on YouTube. They've got like 2 or 4 hour blocks of Three Stooges that don't look cut or sped up, and they look pristine. And it's like Three Stooges, first 10 episodes. It's like first 10 shorts, Some young people think of the Three Stooges and things like that as like it's a TV show, like it has seasons. They were shorts that were released in movie theaters to play before the main feature. Here's Tom and Jerry comics. See, comics were 52 pages in the 50s. So, but, comic books, you think, well, they stayed 10 cents from the dawn of comics in the Platinum Age in the mid-30s all the way until Kennedy was president, when they went up to 12 cents. It's like, why wasn't there any inflation during that time? There was inflation, but what happened is they kept the price consistent at 10 cents, but they kept reducing the page rate. You were getting fewer pages for the same price, like they do with candy bars and soft drinks and chips. You get the bag still looks big, but there's a lot of air in it, and you don't get as many chips as you used to back, in the past. So they started shrinking comics, and what DC was trying to do when comics looked like they were going to have to raise the price from 12 to 15 cents, DC just said, the heck with it, let's raise it to 25 cents and bring back the 52-page comics the way we used to do it, and give people more of a bargain. But, it didn't work because the competition, Marvel, didn't do it. Here's Tom Mix. Someone that's been completely forgotten to time except by people like us. And even to us, when we were born, this was a guy from the distant, distant past. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tom Mix was making movies that were silent before 1929. No, I'm thinking of Hopalong Cassidy, aren't I? Tom Mix was back there, way back there. Here's Tom Terrific. These are cool Terry tunes that were shown on the Captain Kangaroo show. They were black and white, made in black and white. That's why it says CBS television. They were staples of the Captain Kangaroo show. Tom Terrific. Here is a comic that There were several copies of this in the $2 bin at Duncanville Books. They had a lot of Golden Age books for sale for $2 in their $2 bin. They were kind of beat up. I mean, look, it's just kind of beat up. But this is a Christmas issue. Tom Tom is the it's a cave boy. It's kind of like Bam Bam, you know. And then Itchy the monk is the monkey. And this is a Christmas issue. And Tonto. What an amazing cover. Is that damage? Yes. Looks to be. Anyway, Tonto is killing a buffalo. Which is not, you don't normally see Indians doing that, but Tonto. Then Top Cat. I've been waiting to put Top Cat. It was misfiled. So Tonto, Top Cat, Turok, Son of Stone. Most of my Turok, this one's in real bad shape. Most of my comics are in better shape than this. No, that's not what I meant. Yes, they are, but most of my that's not what I meant to say at all. I'm tired and cold. Most of my Turok comics are with my Gold Key comics. This one I have to put in this box, which is slightly wider because it's Golden Age width, and it won't fit in a normal comic box. But this is Turok, son of Roger Stone, and there he is fighting a Nephilim. Normally he fights dinosaurs, not giant people. But you know, those Nephilim, sometimes you gotta take care of them. Two Gun Kid, number 3. This is this comic was still being published when I was a kid, but then of course a lot of the Superman, a lot of those comics were still being published. But this was a Marvel Western comic. I showed you this recently because I remember looking at the trajectory of the bullet here, and it seems to be going right into this guy's eye. But it's before the comics code, you know. Yeah, if you follow where the bullets are going, you can see exactly where these people are being hit. Amazing. So this is number 3 of Two Gun Kid. We'll do it Star Wars style. Okay, whatever. I'm missing Donald Trump because of you morons. But I'll replay it. I'm taping. I'm recording it. Two Gun Western. A coverless vault of horror. I need to put this in my EC box. Now, my EC box is mostly EC reprints, but I do have a few real ECs. Not many. Did you hear about that? In New York, they're sending kids home to learn virtually on their computers so that they can house people, new people that have come across the border without permission to live in the schools. They're using the schools as a place for them to live. Well, they... never mind. Too controversial to talk about that. Here's Walt Disney Comics and Stories. And that's in this box again because it's too wide to fit with my Disney comics. This was something I got for maybe $10 or $5 from Gotham City Comics. It's a thick comic, although it's not really a comic. It's mostly puzzles and games and that kind of thing. That it is a comic, but this was put into a bag that used to have something else in it. So it's, trust me, I did not pay $399.99 for this. But anyway, isn't that neat? This is supposed to be something that I guess keep you busy all summer vacation. Come along with us for extra vacation fun. This was 25 cents. Biden is grossly incompetent. That's ridiculous. He seems like such a competent president. Walt Disney, Davy Crockett, Indian fighter. I was born in San Antonio. I stood in the exact spot where Davy Crockett was killed. That's a interesting place to visit, the Alamo. Very, you know, you feel something when you're there, man. There's something, you know, they say when you go to Civil War battlefields, you kind of sense something. Well, Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Now Space Cadet, it was a TV show. Today, Space Cadet means a moron, like Joe Biden. But, so it adds a little bit of humor to the, it's just a great comic. Another copy of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. Yes, I'll put them in bags and boards. I don't have bags and boards right now, but when I do have them, they'll be definitely put into bags and boards. Okay. What is this? Why is this out of order? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? I showed you a Davy Crockett comic. Yeah, here's Davy Crockett at the Alamo. These comics are out of order. I'm glad I'm doing this. Why is Tom Corbett in the middle of my W's? Ridiculous. Tom Corbett should be before Tom and Jerry. And after T-Man. Okay. This is a great comic. It's, you know, one of the greats. Beautiful comic. Would look good on a wall. I mean, the back is damaged, but it's just a great looking. Yeah. Here's some more Disney Donald Duck fun book. There's Donald Duck having fun before they invented cell phones. Here's Walt Disney's Comics and Stories, Gold Key, from March of '64. So this is from the LBJ age of comics, from the Johnson age of comics, which was a great time period for comics. It just wasn't a great. The president was not very good. Got a lot of people dependent on welfare, brought us into the Vietnam War, all that kind of stuff. That Kennedy was trying to keep us out of, by the way. Anyway, that couldn't have been any reason why they would want to get rid of him. No, I don't think so. Because people don't make money off of wars. Here's Woody Woodpecker. 52-page magazine. Here's a fake, also known as facsimile comic. Weird Mysteries. Here's an EC comic. It's Weird Science. Not in very good shape, but it's an EC comic. Here's Weird Science Fantasy number 26. One of the last this is kind of the last gasp of EC. Not long before EC folded shop and only continued on with Mad, but at Mad as a magazine. Here's Buckskin Benson, Western Fighters. Buckskin Benson, it's hard to say. Scout of the Old West. Wild Bill Pecos, Westerner. Once Westerns were very popular. And here's a DC Western, Western Comics. You can tell it's a DC. I mean, obviously the logo, the symbol, but the way they write comics is right off of Action Comics or Adventure Comics. Anyway, amazing, incredible. Western Comics number 14. We're getting a lot of issue 14s tonight, aren't we? Have you noticed that? A lot of 14s. This old friend of mine ran a record store named 14 Records. And I forget why he called it 14 Records. There's something mystical about the number 14. I think he explained it once to me, but I've forgotten. I'll have to ask my friend Randy if he remembers why, because fortunately the guy, Bucks Burnett, that ran that record store passed away about a month or two ago. Here's Western Fighters. In fact, he also ran the Mr. Ed fan club and the Tiny Tim fan club. And I think I just found one of his newsletters for the Mr. Ed fan club over here. I have it set on this pinball machine. Let me show it to you. Oh yeah, I found it. I've got three of them. No, two. Yeah, this is July 1984, number 7 of The Horse's Mouth. This was the official magazine of the Mr. Ed fan club. Now, don't try writing to that address anymore. This is long defunct. But this is the he interviews Ronnie Lane about Mr. Ed. This guy ran a record store, and he was the nicest guy in the world. He was friends with all these people, musicians. His name was Ed Big Bucks Burnett, or James Burnett.